What is up? It's the Cosmic.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and get it up.
Y'all, what is up, fam? Glad to have you back on another episode of the Anonymous Trader Stockcast, and today I'm doing a case study. They are going to be over two pot stocks, CGC and ACB, and we're going to see if they're going to be high or if they're just going to be some brick old nasty Reggie. So let's see here. First, I'm going to start with the bad one, the bad news, the ACB news. Aurora Cannabis, man, they're just straight tanking. This is the 1 year chart. I mean, you go back to the 5-year chart. Last time they ran all the way to $148, and they double topped it and just could not hold it, and just complete dud. So why am I looking at this stock? Well, first, let's see who ACB really is. Aurora Cannabis, integrated in Edmonton, Canada, cultivates and sells medicinal and recreational cannabis through a portfolio of brands that include Aurora, Kenny Med, Daily Special, Med Relief, and San Relief 71. Although the company primarily operates in Canada, Aurora is expanded internationally through medical cannabis exporting agreements and cultivation facilities in more than 25 countries. So, I mean, it's not a small industry. Their shares outstanding is 112 million. And this doesn't really show their float, but you can see that the inside ownership is 2%. So 2%, 112 million is about 22 million. So it's about 90 million float. And their average volume is about 13 million. And their market cap is 1.369 billion. And you know what? This is going to bug me. So how about we just go to FinViz? And look up ACB, so we can find out their float real quick. All right, so their float's 109 million. So I was about 20 million off, but still, it's a medium float to me, and their percent short is 17%. That's a huge percent short, honestly. I would be short. This is probably one of the first stocks that you've heard me say I would be short. I'm very short bias on this stock right now. I'm sorry if that hurts anybody's feelings, but the chart doesn't lie. It's just telling me it's on a downward trend to death. This is this nice bear flag right here. This is just bad news right here. And one of the reasons why there is a little bit of a spark of hope, where I say shorts do be careful, and people that are bearish or bullish on ACB kind of look out for, is this Alpharia and Aurora merger. It did stall because they failed to agree upon board composition. And I mean, if they had made that deal, that would have been a roughly 3.5 billion and maintain a 30% market share of the Canadian recreational cannabis sector. That is huge. And 3.5 billion that's 3 times. That's almost 3 times the size of its its current market cap. So it's a big merger between both these companies, and we'll look at Alpharia too, if that's how you pronounce it. I apologize if I butcher the pronunciation. And it's only a $5 stock, but its chart looks a little bit better. than the year to date. It did run just like Aurora did, up to 20 though, instead of up to 100. But this one looks like it's making a bounce back, and it's coming up and it's approaching resistance levels. So this is a good stock to look forward to. I would be looking at both of them. Their earnings, I would be skeptical. I think right now it's on a run into its earnings, but I don't know, man. People have been quarantined all this quarter. It is a consumer good, and the whole markets have, like most of the markets have just been hurt by it. But it's been on a steady uptrend ever since March. Like, they were hurt a little bit, but I mean, they just kept on uptrending. So I'd look at this one. This would be the one that would be a sympathy play that I would be bullish on. So APHA is a bullish sentiment to me, while ACB is very, very bearish. So look out for their merger. If the merger happens, I can see both of them running, and Aurora will run and squeeze the shorts, because that's typically what happens anytime good news happens. So that's ACB. If we go and look at its chart, I can map out the key levels and kind of show you what the CCI is telling me. All right. So right now, like I said, it's on a downtrend, and it's showing no real signs of bouncing. And if it does, my first signal is at around 957. You see it has a solid resistance level right here, support right here, and another resistance right here. So that would be the first level I would see it try to bounce off of. And then if it fails that, then this will be another support at 726. And then after that, it can go down as far as 539. So be careful with Aurora Cannabis. They used to be $100-something stock. I mean, earlier this year, they were a $20 stock, and they just done nothing but crumbled since. So be careful. It could run again, but only off good news. Only off the news of a merger. And as you can see, that this one news spike is all it was, and it was just complete death after that. So be careful with that one. Next, let's go to Canopy Growth Corp. Canopy Growth. I have a little bit more optimism towards Canopy Growth. And looking at who they are, Canopy Growth is headquartered out of Smiths Falls, Canada, cultivates and sells medicinal and recreational cannabis and hemp through a portfolio of brands that include Tweed, Spectrum Therapeutics, and Craft Grow. Although it primarily operates in Canada, Canopy Growth has distribution and production licenses in more than a dozen countries and drive expansion in global medicinal cannabis, and holds an option to acquire acreage holdings from the U.S. federal cannabis legislation. That is big. That's bigger news than Aurora. The fact that they can get into the U.S. is going to be huge. And stay tuned to the end of this video, because I want to tell y'all about the stocks that are in the US that are the pot stocks that you need to be looking out for. Yeah. But anyways, Canopy Growth is also on a slow downhill trend, especially these past 2 days, but the whole market was on a slow downhill trend this past 2 days. But it's been on a downhill trend since this whole week, honestly. And they had a nice run up here at the end of May, and then a complete cliff dive. I see this as a gap up waiting to happen. That's a huge gap down. There's a gap up waiting to happen. and I'm putting a bounce level around here at 515. So short term, I would definitely be bullish or bearish, but I do expect a gap up to happen. So I am bullish in the eventuality. So just looking at the chart, you see it hardly ever stays under CCI negative for too long. And if you can just keep zooming out, it hardly ever does. And it's on its way down to negative. So this is what's making me say, okay, let me be a little bit bearish right now. Let me be patient, see how it plays out. And then once it starts to turn positive, break that negative 100, that will be my signal to start going ahead and getting in. And as you can see, these yellows are my major supports that I'm looking at on the down, or my major key levels I'm looking at on the downtrend at 1539, 1284, and 895. And on the upside, I'm looking at 2208. That's my first resistance I want it to break. 2578 is my next resistance I want it to break. And then between that, there is almost a beautiful gap. Just completely fill all the way up there, but you have one more resistance here at 29, which is a solid number. It's a solid round number, but 29 would be another resistance after 25. And then that's where you got the 36, maybe even 34. So that's still, you know, a solid $5 gap up. If it does break through those levels, it is honestly all depending on good news that come out. I haven't seen a whole lot of amazing news currently, and that could explain the constant downhill trend. Let's go back and look on July 10th. And what was the news then? It looks like it was just their earnings, maybe. That's typically what an 8K is. We can go here to the calendar and we see their earnings. Nope. Oh. Close. That was in May. That could probably cause that May run up because they didn't really do that well. So I digress. Besides looking for that, these are the indicators that I'm looking for. And these videos are mainly to show you how I look for my stocks and my potential plays that I want to play on. It's not just oh, this stock ran, let me see it. Well, both these stocks are in a downtrend. Let me see if I can identify a bottom for a possible upswing. I don't want to chase any trend on the downside or the upside. The key is to buy into weakness, sell into the strength. So, and especially with news coming up on that. Now, with that being said, there is some news that I am looking forward to. This is a little bonus, a little sprinkle of specialness for you. High Times IPO. If you do not know, High Times is a magazine, and they're honestly some of the biggest IPOs or marijuana advocates around. They've been producing the magazine for years and years now, and they're partly to be responsible to the progression of the legalization of marijuana. So they were supposed to IPO earlier this later this month. but they pushed it back to September. I think it went from August to September. There we go. High times to postpone 3 months. Okay. So June 12th. I'm sorry. I miscorrect that. June 12th was the deadline to report its audited results, and they failed to do so. So they chose to extend the date of its IPO from July 30th, like I said, later this month, which is literally supposed to IPO next week, to September 30th. So I'm looking out for High Times and their IPO. I think it's going to be a big IPO, and I think it's going to revitalize the marijuana stocks because they're all just kind of dying right now. I mean, there's no joke that the weed sector is kind of dying. But that's all that I have for you guys, except for the weed stocks that y'all need to look at within America that are popping right now. Forget those cannabis stocks that are all the way up there in Canada. Cannabis. You don't need any of that. We got videos. And my video on the Stockcast podcast right here. And I will leave a link of this in the end of this video. You will see a little box of it, and it is me going over these 5 stocks that I would be looking at that are marijuana stocks in the US, and especially Florida cannabis stocks, because that market is booming. It's almost like the next Colorado, and they're growing too. They're not a small operation. They're growing. And with the possible Safe Bank Act being passed in Congress, things are going to be huge for cannabis stocks. But I digress. Thank you so much for watching, fam. Please leave a like. Please subscribe. And also support the channel by going to our subscribe star and joining our Discord. You can join our Discord for free. It's a general chat room for stocks. You get stock alerts too. And then also there's tier memberships where you get special perks for watch list, one-on-one meetings with any of our admin or anybody that you would like to learn a little bit more from, access to our learning material and our personal setups and all that fun stuff. And you get a little bit more of an insight on day trading, and not just day trading, but trading as a whole, because we're building a platform that is for any kind of trader. These are the anonymous traders. We're not day traders. We're not just option traders, Forex, crypto. We're everything. So please come join us. If you have any input, that's what we have it for. It's an open platform to learn and help each other grow. So support the channel, support us.
Pick it up, pick it
I
up,
love
pick
you,
it up,
fam.
pick it up.
See you
You
next
see the
time.
drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Ooh, I've been on the flex since flex on. Neighborhood all in your eardrums. I ain't never scared like Bone Crush. Boy, I got God, don't fear none. My line busy, take no calls. Feels like I don't have no flaws. Snakes in the grass, cut those off. Yo, squad shady, my bros raw. No breaks, we go, 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 go. Throw shade, that's a no, 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 no. Go high, go low, low, low. Like spinning in a 644. Cash money like 504. Ball like AD24. No sleep, need more, more, more. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Ooh, I'm a real one, my day ones. Try speak up, can't say none. Try dig dirt, there ain't none. I make the money that save up. 10 to 80, my savings. Take to the top from the base one. New car, race on. Fast lane, pace on. With the booyah, that's a flex. Not human, I ain't from another planet. I'ma teleport, might vanish. I'ma wake up, do damage. Join number 7, he's bored though. Working all night, need more though. I remember nights I was poor though. Pick it it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drip, yeah, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and a giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drip, yeah, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and a giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.